Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima? And to Yogi, he says, is this what you were defending when you were manning that machine gun on the rocket boat on D-Day in Normandy? And to Billy, he says, what about you, Billy? You was in the service. And Billy says,
nah, when I was marching around Fort Carson, I was doing KP duty. And the Italian cooks would make me all kinds of good food to eat. And besides, I got a good conduct medal from the Army. I don't want to besmirch my record.
but the bowlers, they just wouldn't shut up, so everyone retired to the cloakroom. And the next thing I knew, I saw this bowler come sliding along the floor, and he lands at Mick's feet. And Mick says, it looked like Roy Rogers writing trigger stomped all over his face. Say, let me freshen up my face before you take a picture.
A month later, Billy Martin was traded after 7 seasons with the club, allegedly for his role at the Copa and also for not fitting with the Yankee image. Casey Stregel, when talking about Martin and his carousing players, said,
they said some of my stars drink whiskey, but I have found the ones that drink milkshakes, they don't win many ball games.
And also,
hey, being with a woman all night never hurt no professional ball player. It's staying up all night looking for him that the woman doesn't in.
Act 3, with the old professor.
Yeah, Billy didn't talk to me for 2 years after he was traded from the Yanks. He thought I didn't fight hard enough to keep him. And maybe he's right. I always heard people say, behind my back, that Billy was the son I never had. And there was some truth in that. Maybe because Edna and I weren't blessed with children. And I saw a lot of myself as a player in Billy. I never backed away from no fight, and I had my wacky side. When I played for Mansfield, Kentucky in the Bluegrass League, I was full of fire and vinegar. And practiced by sliding to third, second, or first base on my way to and from the dugout. Between innings, there was a lunatic asylum behind center field. The people out there used to applaud my slides more than home runs. You know, I think they must have recognized a kindred soul. Yeah, there was a lot going on. The memories come rolling back every now and then. Yeah. You know, after we traded him, well, he never played as well as he did for us. He didn't win any World Series rings as a player like he did with us, especially when he won the 7th game in the 1957 World Series with that miracle catch. But just like me, he was always full of fire and vinegar, never backing down from a fight. Pummeling Billy Pearsall after a verbal exchange when Pearsall called him a dago bush leader. Later, though, when he found out Pearsall had a mental disorder, he said,
maybe we deserve each other. Sometimes I think I'm ready for the guys in white coats myself.
yeah, after that, Billy always helped him. He arranged for Pearsall to become a team broadcaster, and they became lifelong friends. You know, Billy never started no fight. He just finished it. But because of his reputation as a brawler, tough guys would seek him out and start fights. Like that marshmallow salesman in the hotel bar in Minnesota did. Billy was the smartest ball player I ever knew. He studied the game intensely and always knew how to pick up his guys and needle the opposition. And he really came into his own when he became a manager. Throwing out the rule book, in a sense, by inventing Billy Ball. He would keep the other teams off balance by always doing the unexpected. He would have his guy try suicide steals, triple steals, brush pass, and aggressive slides. And he was always yapping in that high-pitched voice at the ump and at the other teams. He was passionate with a lightning brain. His players and the fans loved him, but the owners and general managers, not so much. His loyalties were to the game and the truth, not to the business of baseball.
I believe if God ever managed baseball, he would have managed like I managed, very aggressively. But of course, God would never have been wrong and had to face all of the consequences.
Yeah, Billy, he drank too much and ruined his marriages by fooling around. But he was shattered when his first wife divorced him, because as a Catholic, he didn't believe in it. He, off what Phil Rizzuto or Yogi, would go to Mass even on game days. And when he was awarded a car, what did he do? He donated it to St. Ambrose Parish. When I died in 1975, Billy came to my home in Glendale, California, to comfort Edna. On the night before my funeral, he slept in my bed. Stayed another night after his burial. I took some of my old long-sleeve t-shirts with my number 37 stenciled underneath the collar. He often wore these under his jersey. You know, there's so many memories. Think about Billy often. Billy was hired and fired as the manager of the Yankees by George Steinbrenner 5 times. And he was being considered to be hired again for the 1990 season. But on Christmas night, 1989, in front of the New York farm, Billy's pickup truck slid off the snowy Potter Road into the ditch in front of his driveway, killing him. His friend, who was driving, broke his hip. Both their wives were inside the house at the end of Billy's driveway. They rushed out to see the carnage. They had Christmas Eve dinner. They rushed up at the household and were planning on going to Mass Christmas Day at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. But they didn't go because Billy's wife, Jill, had the flu. At his funeral Mass at the same cathedral, the priest in his eulogy said,
"Despite all his bravado and bravura, Billy was a warm, sentimental, kind person, generous with his time and money. He always wore his St. Christopher medal and carried a rumpled prayer card to St. Jude in his pocket. It seems a coincidence that Billy went home to God on Christmas Day."
As the casket was being lowered, carried out of church, his son Billy Joe was convulsed in sobs. He was weak and unsteady. Then he felt someone grab his arm. It was former President Richard Nixon, who was living in the city and was a great Yankees fan. And he said,
"I want to show you all the people your father loved."
he led him outside to see the huge crowd of people in the street saying,
"These are the people that touched your father." No, you touched, never mind. These are the people that were touched by your father. That doesn't come out right either.
he was touched.
I wrote the bloody thing and I can't get it right.
God forbid we don't. He was buried at the gate of Heaven Cemetery in Hawthorne, New York, with his grave 30 yards away from Babe Ruth's gravesite. His tombstone is engraved, Martin, Alfred Manuel, Billy, May 16, 1928 to December 25, 1989. There are carved cutouts of his number 1, a sculpture of St. Jude, and the quotation,
I may not have been the greatest Yankee to put on the uniform, but I was the proudest.
Remember when I said it ain't over till it's over? It's over. Well, it's over.